Simplify the following fractions. So when we're asked to simplify fractions, what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for the greatest common factor, of the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so we're going to be looking for the largest number that's going to go evenly into both the numerator and the denominator. So in our first example with the numbers 8 and 10, so 8's my numerator, 10's the denominator. For the fraction 8/10, to simplify it, we want to ask what's the largest number that I can think of that will divide evenly into both 8 and 10. And so if we just, those are fairly simple numbers to work with, we can think, well, 2 is going to be the largest number that's going to go into both of those. So here's how we're going to work our process here. We're going to write both of these, the numerator and the denominator, both as a product showing that greatest common factor. And now we're going to come back in and we're going to say, well, 2 times 4 equals 8. So I've just rewritten the numerator in factored form. And then the same with the denominator. 2 times 5 is 10. So now we can say, well, we've got this 2 over 2. 2 over 2 is just a fancy way of writing the number 1. Right? Anytime the numerator and the denominator are exactly the same, it just equals 1. So now all of a sudden my problem has become 1 times 4/5. So that gives me a final answer of 4/5 for the simplified form of 8/10. In our second problem with 18 over 24, 18/24, when we start thinking about what's the greatest common factor, well, 18 and 24 have lots of common factors. 2 goes into both 18 and 24. 3 also goes into both 18 and 24. But when I think about all the different possibilities, the greatest common factor is going to be the number 6. We always want to work with the greatest common factor. So I'm going to rewrite both the numerator and the denominator with that 6 common factor. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite 18 as 6 times 3 and 24 as 6 times 4. And so once again I see this 6 over 6. 6 over 6 is another fancy way of writing the number 1. Numerator and denominator are exactly the same. So now we have 1 times 3/4, which gives us the final answer of 3/4. And notice I can tell I've simplified completely because 3 and 4 do not have any common factors anymore. If I had done a simplifying step, say of 2 for this one, say I thought the greatest common factor was 2, I would have done 2 times 9 and 2 times 12. The 2's would have given me that 1. They would have canceled out. But when I look at the fraction 9/12, notice that would still have a common factor of 3. 9 has a factor of 3 and 12 also has a factor of 3. So then we would have to say, well, 9 is 3 times 3, 12 is 3 times 4. And so notice that we still would have ended up with the same answer, but it would have just taken us 2 steps instead of just using the 1 step of the greatest common factor. This last problem where we have 9/45, the greatest common factor of 9 and 45 is 9. So again, I'm going to write each of these as 9 times something. Well, 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. And when we see that fancy form of 1, that 9 over 9 just equals 1, 1 times 1/5 is just the fraction 1/5. So there's our final answer there. Let's circle these other final answers. And to do a check on your calculator with these problems, you can use the fraction key on your calculator. So let me just take a look at our calculator here. We'll use our calculator to check this first one. The fraction we were given was 8/10. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter the numerator, and then we're going to press the fraction key, which is right here, this A, B over C button. If I press that fraction key and then enter the denominator, and then I just want to press enter so the calculator will simplify for me. 4/5, that's exactly what we came up with doing it by hand.